Hello, readers and friends. Today is Wednesday, March 9th, 2022. And remember, this Sunday, we spring forward. Yay! I was born in late spring. And as most of you know, depression for me is like a low-grade fever. It gets worse in the winter when the world is so gray and dark. In midwinter, some years ago, a friend of mine who knows me very well gave me a gift. These might help you, she said, giving me a small bottle of little gel caps. Vitamin D supplements. I had no idea what this would do. I took them for a few days and felt a light inside, a spark or something. An energy, I don't know. I just felt better. And I've been taking them since. With some research, I discovered that vitamin D is known as the sunshine vitamin. These little gel caps and my sun lamp are my winter lifesavers. Now, I must tell you, this doesn't make me immune to my depression. However, my depression doesn't last as long these days. Depression doesn't last for weeks or months or years the way they used to. There's been a few studies noting that various groups of people experience improvements in symptoms of depression after they start taking vitamin D supplements. And of course, there have been other studies poo-pooing the whole idea that vitamin D has any sort of value. So it's now early spring 2022, and last month, February, was, I don't know what, the last month of winter. But you got a month's worth of my ramblings about long-term grief and the change this involves internally. Last week, kind of like on the fringe of spring, on March 2nd, I spoke about believing versus thinking. Belief, I believe, comes from my heart. And there's probably no scientific evidence, stats, or much hard data about this. And on the other hand, I feel good when I believe. And joy is like that as well. In my first woman's novel, Persons Are First, my protagonist is an emotional wreck. She's taking a time out to sort out her feelings. And this is what she discovers. Breathing deeply, she rested her forehead against the window pane. Continuing her breathing, she began to generate an inward joy and peace which had been missing for some time. She sighed in gratitude to feel this way again. Rollo May wrote The Courage to Create in 1975. Joy, rather than happiness, is the goal of life. For joy is the emotion which accompanies our fulfilling our natures as human beings. It is based on the experience of one's identity as being of worth and dignity. Kathy Mattea is an American country music and bluegrass singer. She's also an AIDS activist. She says that that's the great paradox of living on this earth, that in the midst of great pain, you can have great joy as well. If we didn't have these things, we'd just be numb. And James Brown. We've all seen him perform. Sometimes, some of us live have seen him live. Some of us have only seen him on TV. What he says is, when I'm on stage, I try to do one thing: bring people joy. Just like the church does. People don't go to church to find trouble. They go there to lose it. E.B. White is the author of Stuart Little and Charlotte's Web. He says we should all do what, in the long run, gives us joy, even if it's only picking grapes or sorting the laundry. Isabel Allende, a Chilean author whose works sometimes contain aspects of magical realism, used to arrange safe passage for people on the wanted list during Pinochet's dictatorship until she learned that she herself was on that list. And she says, I am happier when I love than when I am loved. I adore my husband, my son, my grandchildren, my mother, my dog, and frankly, I don't even know if they like me. But who cares? Loving them is my joy. I've shared with you my loss, my journey back to living life again, and it's been challenging at times. I believe that I've become a seasoned griever, like a seasoned cab driver, a seasoned firefighter, a seasoned educator. I will always have my grief. It won't ever go away. I won't wake up one morning and realize it has disappeared. I will also have other feelings because I believe that if I don't feel the negative feelings, I won't experience the positive ones either. Mary Oliver wrote this poem called Heavy. Forgive me, but I'm just going to read excerpts since it's a pretty long poem. That time I thought I could not go any closer to grief without dying. I went closer and I did not die. And my laughter was nowhere to be found. Then, said my friend, it's not the weight you carry, but how you carry it. Books, bricks, grief, it's all in the way you embrace it, balance it, carry it, when you cannot and would not put it down. And have you heard the laughter that comes now and again out of my startled mouth? I remember the first time I felt joy again years after my son's death. There was a familiarity to that feeling, a memory that I used to feel this a lot, but I couldn't quite get a handle on it. I was walking my beloved companion Champy, at the fairgrounds one day a few years ago, and he was off leash and sniffing around trying to identify all of his pals who had peed all around the lot in the last 24 hours. And I remember standing in the middle of the parking lot, and suddenly, with my eyes closed, I raised my arms, extending them over my head, and just took a long, slow breath. My body began to stir, my brain booted up, and my heart followed. A second later, I opened my eyes to this expanse of heavenly blue, cloudless sky. I felt a tremendous feeling. It took me a bit to recognize this because it had been such a long time since I'd felt it. I was feeling joy. Absolute, pure joy. I remember this feeling whenever I saw my son, heard his voice. That joy was external. He gave me that joy. And when he died, I felt I would never feel that again. And now, standing in the middle of that parking lot, I was feeling the same joy coming from deep inside me. I did nothing to earn this joy, this feeling of elation, this absolute contentment and in the moment. And then it left. And I knew I would be okay. And since then, I've experienced many moments of this joy, often alone. I feel it most when I'm in nature or when I'm writing. When I feel this feeling well up inside, I am so grateful. I love emerging from a long writing session. I begin writing around 11 p.m. and often work till about 3 a.m. I don't take a break. I don't check emails or otherwise distract myself. I don't leave my office, but my being sails over the sea where I have met my characters who cheer me on, wanting their stories to be told. That, for me, is joy. Nikita Gill is an Indian poet and author, and she's based in the UK. I've been following her for several years. In this time of contemporary poetry, she is concise and thought-provoking. This is her thoughts about joy. Your joy is valid even in the troubled times, especially in troubled times. Joy over nothing, joy over small things, joy over silly things. Just remind yourself that the nightingale never needs an occasion to sing her happiest song. Joy. And that's what I have for you today, folks. Thank you. One quick business note. As I mentioned last week, we have completed our editing process on Reflection, Book 8 of my Walkerville Desires series. AC is working his way through the massive thicket of markups, post-it notes, and retyped editions to pull it all together into a complete manuscript. He swears that it's going to be ready to go out to our beta readers sometime next week. He also tells me that we have had a spot open up on the team for this book. So if you're interested in becoming a beta reader, shoot us an email to the Gmail address in the description below. We'd love to have you. Thank you so much for joining me today. And you know I would love to hear your thoughts on joy or anything else you'd care to share about. You can send a message through Facebook, Instagram, or email. All the particulars are in the description. Please don't forget that YouTube counts everything. It really helps us a lot to give this video a thumbs up and click that red subscribe button. And do share my links with anyone you think might like to join us. Of course, new readers are always welcome as well. A personal recommendation from a friend is the best introduction to a writer. So please do share my stories. The address of my Amazon page is in the description. All the Walkerville books are available to purchase in both Kindle and print editions. And as always, the direct link for next Wednesday's live chat is there too. Buy me a cup of coffee. Hope to see you then, and thank you so much for joining me.